does a hero truly mean?
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here for our coverage of the TI7 regional qualifiers for CIS line number 1. My name is DragonJump. I'm joined by Skim Gaming still, and this took a little bit longer to get started than anticipated because there was a small little patch in the meantime, but we're finally here inside the draft. Navi doubleheader, first against Gambit Esports, afterwards versus Team Empire. Should be fairly interesting, especially considering where we're at right now. Navi, that 1-1. And Gambit Esports, they're the one-on-one as well. So already one of these early matches that might decide one of the directions that these teams are going in.
Yeah, and Gambit Esports already took down Vega Squadron. Vega Squadron, which we of course saw in our last game, very dominating performance. But Gambit Esports in their opening match in this qualifier, mind you, this team did go, through a lot of. I mean, it's not necessarily one of the teams people had on their radar. Gambit Esports is sort of a bit of an underdog story kind of thing, but they did take out Vega, so all odds are that they take down Navi as well. So Navi definitely cannot take this one easy.
Yeah.
And,
Especially considering who Navi lost to, because there was M19 Phonics Open Qualifier stack.
To be fair, M19 has been taking down everybody right now. M19 is 4-0 right now, so they're sort of taking everybody a little bit by surprise. But you're definitely right. If you're Navi, you definitely have to sort of, I wouldn't necessarily say question yourself, but you do have that in the back of your head. God damn it, we lost to like an open qualifier team.
Yeah.
Come on, guys, we're better than this. We have it is Navi. They do expect to, of course, make the top 4 and obviously qualify, but it's not easy right now with Vega, with M19 and Empire as well. Later in the game, Empire is currently 2-1. If they win against Navi, they're going to be 3-1. So Navi definitely need to make things count. So Gambit Esports, not an easy opponent, but Navi also look a bit better here right now. I mean, in their game versus, who was it? What was the last game? Was it NG? I think it was versus
NG,
versus 7 NG. I think they showed something different, which I have, personally, I've been very critical of Navi in the past few weeks. They've sort of always run the same stuff, but they've run something different now with the Nature's Prophet, with the Storm, and the Ursa. A very unique sort of tri-core combination.
Speaking of unique heroes, Shadow Shaman making an appearance here for Navi, which I don't see in their past games at all the last 3 months on Dota Buff. So, what do you make of this?
It's a bit ironic that it's Navi that's going to pick it up, because Navi, the old Navi with Ars Art used to love run Shadow Shaman. They utilized the hero almost like no other team, because they were able to take objectives and then superb timings on the Blink Dagger, and just an overall just great usage of the hero. But right now the hero has been buffed a lot. After the buffs, a couple of teams tried out Shadow Shaman and didn't necessarily work out for most of them. OG played around with Shadow Shaman a bit as well. So I think it's an interesting pickup, especially this early. Obviously Shadow Shaman is not going to get banned, but this does make me wonder, has Navi a core Shadow Shaman up their sleeve? Like, is this potentially a mid Shadow Shaman? No, look, I'm not advocating for it. Obviously, it has a lot of weaknesses, but why else would you pick it up this early and reveal, like, all right, we have like a Shadow Shaman? Like, what's the purpose behind this?
Yeah.
It could just be a curveball. It could just be like, all right, Gambit is gonna like wreck their brains because of this. And in reality, it's just gonna be like an old, laning support Shadow Shaman. But who knows? Maybe they just have like an overall push lineup with this plan. I mean, they did love the Nature's Prophet, as pointed out earlier.
Yep.
So there's a lot of potential there.
Definitely an interesting game, as we expected, coming out from Navi up against Gambit, who have a more straightforward opener here. Sand King and Puck, of course, very highly versatile. Between both of these heroes, right? You mostly see Sand King probably in that 4 position, Puck in the off lane. But then again, Puck can also go mid, Sand King can also off, so there's that flexibility that's so coveted in drafts these days. Either that, or you just get yourself a hero that's OP as hell, like the Clockwork, of course, for Navi, who is most 9 times out of 10 is gonna be in the 4 position, but who's just gonna run you down and create chaos and problems for you anyway.
5 seconds.
The Puck sinking opening, by the way, is something that Gambit like to run. Both heroes are very strong first picks for them, just because, yeah, like you pointed out earlier, they just like being very flexible with that draft. Cheshire Cat is an excellent puck player, but Crewman I think has also proven to be a very capable puck player. So
Yep.
this is just Gambit Esports 101 base,
10
or like the
seconds to
typical
go.
Gambit Esports really. I'm very glad that they stick to their own guns. Oh my god, Bloodseeker.
Not again!
Uh,
What? Every single game today on our stream.
We've had 3
Like,
Bloodseeker games already.
God damn it.
But yeah, I like that Gambit is sticking to their guns because ultimately, you know, a lot of times when teams like Gambit make it into the qualifier like this, right? They tend to get swayed by what is meta, what other teams are running, you know, because they're the underdogs. They're not supposed to set the pace. So I think sticking to their own guns with this Draw Ranger pickup as well, I think I love it. I absolutely love it, and we've seen it the other
10
days from them
seconds
as
to
well.
go.
We're casting what was it, Blood in the Streets.
Dyer's
Yep.
back.
They had the Draw Ranger, the Wind Ranger, and the Razor.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that worked perfectly, almost too perfectly, to be honest.
Yeah. They
In
don't
this
often get
game,
to bring these things together, especially with the Draw Rangers. But yeah, when they do, it can be quite
10
dangerous.
seconds to go.
Now,
for sure,
Lycan,
for sure.
that's the push component or the push strat that
5
you were talking
seconds.
about earlier, right? Lycan adds a lot of that. Bloodseeker, of course, not so much, but his job is just to win the lane
Reserve
and provide
time.
that big covering fire, essentially, that pickup potential to then take advantage of with these pushing utilities.
Ignoring the Bloodseeker, this is almost like a 2012 classic Navi pick, or draft rather. The Shadow Shaman Lycan, again, obviously it's only Dendi that really remains from that squad, but still, it is something that Navi used to run a lot back in the day. And Pyket, of course, is also a player that has been around in those days as well. He himself also, back then, also a very strong Lycan player. So I don't know. This is a solid draft from Navi. The Bloodseeker, I think we've seen the strength from Bloodseeker now. I believe he won both games. Yeah, he's won
Yep.
both games that we've cast with him. So I think he is very strong here. Silence is very strong against Puck.
Radiant's
He can, of
banned.
course, get towards the Draw Ranger because he has high movement speed if heroes get too low. And I think there's a lot of potential here for Navi, but I think if Gambit just pick up one more control hero, I think it's going to be a bit difficult for Navi to really deal with this because they already have like the Burst
10
Strike, the
seconds to
Nightmare against
go.
Bloodseeker and Lycan, who rely on their mobility to really be
5
effective in team
seconds.
fights. So
Yeah.
if Gambit pick up something along the lines of, let me just, yeah, probably not
Reserve
Earthshaker. It's
time.
probably going to be another support. Actually, it could be a mid even. Oh, this is really difficult. This is really difficult if you're Navi. Like, what the hell are you going to ban out, really?
Well, you can just not ban out anything. We've seen that strat before.
It's true.
Who did it? Was the OG in an Epicenter or something? I don't know. Was it someone did it?
Somebody did it, yeah. I'm not sure
I've
who.
already forgot. Would it been Secret even?
I think
Anyway,
it was Secret.
yeah. But yeah, all we can do is wait, I
It's
guess, right
difficult to
now.
it's difficult to call, really.
Yeah.
I think they could go back for the Razor, which they did, you know, in the other tournament that we were casting. Just because the Razor with the Link is sort of nice against Bloodseeker and Lycan. Sure, they have high mobility, but if they don't have high mobility, you can just run them down and just steal all their damage. Oh, there goes the ban.
Yeah.
I,
Take that
I,
away,
I think the
take
Razor.
the
I think the
Earthshaker.
Razor could have been a good pick, really. I wonder if they just looked up, you know, their Dota buff or whatever website they're using, and be like, "Huh, the last time they ran Drow, they played Razor. Should we ban it?" And they banned it. I wonder if that
10
if that went
seconds to
through the head,
go.
you know?
Yeah. So what else is in the pool now? So we're still looking for
5
this
seconds.
ranged material, I guess.
Probably. We really don't know.
OD?
Ooh, they
Reserve
could go
time.
Invoker if they wanted to
Invoker,
be
oh
really
yeah.
greedy. Could go Invoker. OD is probably better just because he comes online a bit faster, and he, like, the what's it called? The Astral Imprisonment is really strong against Lycan and Bloodseeker as well.
Yeah, and Clockwork
That's a
too,
good,
even.
yeah, and Clockwork as well. It's also natural here to go for Force Staff against the Clockwork.
Yeah.
I think you definitely want somebody like a core right now that goes for like the Force Staff early on, or I guess TA
Also
also with the
works.
Dragonlance
Yeah.
and also works. But I
It's,
think this is a bit greedy.
it is.
I think the TA is a bit greedy.
You don't go first item Hurricane Pike unless you really need to. Team might this game, but ideally you want to have a good laning stage to then go into a Desolator, into a Blink instead. But he's gonna be up against the Bloodseek, isn't he?
Yep.
Sack. Yeah, Cheshire Cat on the offlane Puck, Draw Ranger on the safe lane.
Oh, Bloodseeker. It's actually going to be a support Earthshaker, not a support Clockwork. This is, by the way, also something that
Oh.
was in the air up until now, pretty much. Like, this
Yeah.
could have been a support Clockwork and a support Earthshaker. The benefit of having a support Clockwork here is that you are a bit more active on the map. I think Earthshaker himself
10
tends to
seconds
be a
to
bit more
go.
passive and more reactive. You do have a little bit of kill potential, but also not too
5
much.
seconds.
But I think this is okay. Clockwork. I think Earthshaker would have had a worse time in the offlane versus Bane and Sand King. I think Clockwork has it a bit easier, has a bit higher armor, I believe, and just generally with the cogs, just make it easier to zone them out. I think this is fine, but ultimately, I think the TA is just a bit too greedy. I definitely favor Navi here right now with this lineup right now.
Yeah.
They have a lot of control with the Earthshaker, Shadow Shaman, Clockwork. They have a lot of damage with Lycan and Bloodseeker, and they even have deep push. If the Draw Ranger lineup, it thrives in early pushes, but with the cogs, with the Fisher, I think they have sufficient deep push and the Blood Rage as well.
I think they have all the tools they need to really deal with what Gambit has to offer, so the onus is on them to execute properly from minute 1, really. But yeah, before we get into the lanes, let's get these predictions in. Total number of play deaths per 25 minutes, 1625.
Yeah, I'm going 16,
That's
25
a pretty
as well.
safe bet. Total number of smoking kills at game end, I have no idea.
5
I
to 8.
always get these wrong.
Team with the first
tower
tower kill.
That's a hard one.
It sounds like that is actually really difficult. I'm gonna go with Gambit actually.
Could go with RV, just be contrarian.
Yeah.
Play with the highest total magic appeal damage done by 25 minutes.
That
Puck?
might just be Dendi, I think.
Dendi?
It could be Puck. I'm gonna go with Dendi.
25 minutes, yeah. I mean, he's gonna throw drop shows and blood rights at some point. I'll join you on Dendi.
Alright.
Because we've seen Bloodseekers be crazy this today already.
True. Puck already with a deep ward, which I'm quite a bit of a fan of actually. It provides a sufficient amount of vision, blocks the camp as well, which is pretty nice. It's not a typical ward either, so it might not even get dewarded.
Yeah. Well, normally you just see if this camp is blocked, it's mostly on this high ground, and I think if you put a sentry there, you can still get it. But yeah, for now,
Yeah,
a bit of a tussle here. Bignum comes through, reveals himself with the stun. Pikehead has some help himself though. Now the Shackles catching up the puck, followed with the Fisher. They're gonna be able to bring him down. Not the best start for Gambit here. Beav and Soneka though with good positioning, just hiding behind these trees, making sure that they can come in and get the spells off without shooing them away first. And now they only get rid of the sentry blocking up the hard camp, but this gives them one option to stack and pull.
I'm a bit surprised that Soneko used the Fisher like he did. He canceled it like twice or even thrice. I think very wise decision to do so, but I think he could have also blocked off the Sand King if he had placed the Fisher to the left. Yeah. Ultimately, they still got first blood on the Cheshire Cat Puck as well, which is an important kill. And I believe, yes, it was the Shadow Shaman that got the last as well, which is important. Like he can almost he can go boots now.
Yeah,
boots Shadow Shaman 1 minute in. That is insane.
Pretty damn strong, right? Especially with these constant right click buffs that he's gotten. I mean, he's hitting for 74. As far as supports go, that's only behind the Treant Protector, I want to say. Like, as far as common supports go, in terms of right-click damage. Yeah. And he has range, so with boots you can just walk up, walk back, try and kite around a little bit more efficiently. Because his base movement speed is very low.
Speaking of hitting like a truck, though, Bloodseeker with Blood Rage, and 3 for 3 right now. Ooh, Gambit is disconnected.
Well, someone pulled the plug in the team house or something, on a bootcamp, wherever they are.
Pretty much.
Guess that's what it comes down to. But yeah, this Bloodseeker, I mean, I guess one of the reasons he's so strong is that when you have a lineup that can like skirmish and harass each other in the early game, he's going to benefit from that too if heroes are low across the map.
Definitely. That is definitely something that is often overlooked. The fact that he, can benefit from the other lanes like that for his own laning stage. But also, I think just in general, the fact that he's very self-sustainable. In a meta where heroes often dual lane mid, he can trade very favorably. in duel versus duel lane scenarios, just because he can regen up because of the creeps. And in general, I think his mid game damage output is quite significant. The Blood Raid is a huge AoE spell that just causes the enemy to move in a way that they don't want to. Like, you don't want to have to run around Blood Raid in order to position yourself properly.
Yep.
Oftentimes, it causes you to not be in a position to save your teammate, or you just risk getting silenced, which then in turn is just a huge silence. What is it, like 8 seconds? No, 6 seconds. 6 seconds at level 4. That is insane. So I think overall, Bloodseeker, it's one of those picks where it's not even necessarily a buff that really edged him into the meta. I think it's just that teams slowly start to appreciate a lot of the strength that the hero always had, and just realize that this is something that can work into their own lineup.
Right.
I think a lot of teams or a lot of players, if you would ask them, what happens when you don't patch a game for like half a year, the meta would still change. Like, heroes would still move in and out of the meta just because of that.
All right, now, all that in mind in regards to the Bloodseeker, it's been a little game. I call it dead or alive. And the question is, does Kuman live here or not? Because he has
He's
first
gonna
point
live.
Psyblades. Dendi, well, he's Blood Rage on himself.
Yeah, he's gonna live unless Kuman sticks around and tries to go for more creeps. I think he's gonna live. But Dendi, though, a lot of harassment already going his way, and he's just making Kuman pay for going for Cyblades level 1, which isn't necessarily a bad choice or a wrong choice by any means, but Bloodseeker can just punish a lane like this.
We'll see how far Dendi wants to go. Let's go for Lassets instead, of course. Now I had a leg spike, alright. But Kuman Easter herself and will be just fine. So you win the game. Congrats, Kim.
Hooray, what do I get?
A pat on the back when we meet the TI. But yeah, now down bottom, Cheshire Cat. Brought down again. Does have the orb this time across the fissure. Not quite enough damage here, but at the very least it gives Bloodseeker a nice little boost. But speaking of
Which he
Bloodseeker,
needed,
then he's
by the
being
way.
run down,
Yeah.
yes. Big making the rotation towards mid. Holding
was
on to
pretty
Burst
helpful.
Strike. Alright. What about the top lane here? General, on the offlane Clockwork, it's the classic way to run it, still can be quite effective. Especially if you're up against a solo support like this, always want to fly. Normally a hero that can trade very well with most offlaners, but depending on the positioning, it might just die to General once he gets higher levels up in the battery assault.
Yeah, it's quite funny. I actually played this matchup like 2 hours ago, like before we casted the first game, and it is awful to play Bane versus Clockwork just because of the cast animation.
Yeah.
Honestly, it just makes it very difficult. Yeah, like I said, Bane usually trades very well and favorably against any other offlaner. Oh, what's he? No, he's fine.
Yeah.
He usually trades favorably, but because of the cast animation thing, it just makes it very difficult to trade favorably suddenly. And like you said, once he has more points in the battery assault, always want to fly, might just die.
Yeah, like right now, could have maybe run him down with that bit of a backstep from always want to fly that General didn't quite anticipate. If he had, he could have just caught him in the cogs. But as it stands, he's just getting his levels, and putting pressure up on the safe lane. Of course, as long as Bignum isn't there, then he isn't really fearing to die, I think. Especially not with Zhao being solo level. So, yeah, this is time for him to shine, get his own levels, make sure he can get that hookshot up and running, so he can then do Clockwork things. I mean, so far, that doesn't really change if you're a 3 position compared to a 4 position.
Bottom lane, Biver might just get caught out here. No, alright, he's fine. Overall, very, very flexible laning stage so far. We've seen the Earthshaker rotate now to top lane. The Sand King was mid. Both teams sort of know that they have to make some movements happen in order to secure top
That
lane.
is. Well, they do eat through the cogs, but now the fissure from the side. The Soneko made the rotation, and now they might even get the draw Ranger here. The barrier's still not quite lasting long enough, but the last right click will still connect. General, well, Clockwork. .png. All I can say to that one.
380 movement speed.
Fuck Jim.
380. This is the power of the Clockwork in the current patch right now. And now he has a Tranquil Boots, but with just Boots and a Windlace, he's 380, and he's gonna catch up to anybody, really.
405 now if the Tranquil Boots aren't broken even, so it helps. So that lane's going well. Middle lane, Denny, it's kind of stabilized now with the pressure kind of being
18's a nice
taken
start.
off. Yeah, exactly. 26 to 18.
He's an entire level ahead. This is not
Oh, cool, man.
great.
If he stepped into the river there, he could have easily been fissure blocked here. He's still doing that right the hell now. Dendy, not quite fast
Exactly,
enough here with only Kuman being sort of half health.
That Fisher needed to also stun Kuman in order
Yeah.
to get Denny the kill there. But still, it definitely goes to show that Kuman cannot stay in lane. But unlike the Death Prophet in our last game, Kuman can fall back into the jungle and just farm
Yep.
quite effectively as well. He can go, for the large camps. He can go for the ancient camps. He can even stack the camps and farm them that way as well. And that is something that Death Prophet couldn't do last game. So even though the Bloodseeker is dominating this lane, it's not as bad as it could have been.
One lane fissure block on Puck, but of course it's a Puck. As long as you have that orb, you should be fine. So as far as experience goes, Cheshire Cat at the very least is keeping up, and I would imagine they need him to get these levels because it's gonna be down to him, to us Senking, I guess, to try and create some more space for the Dry Ranger and make sure that Navi can't get the drop on these flimsy targets.
By the way, Navi is already ahead by 3k, or almost 3k. They were just ahead 3k, and that's it's still around 3k, and without taking a single tower, and just 3 kills on the map, and then just general last sitting. This is damn impressive.
Yep.
And Bloodseeker already making a rotation, trying to go for that early kill with the blood, with the rupture. But I believe they're aware of this.
They should be. They see Soneko's looking experience in mid, so you know the Bloodseeker is somewhere, but they do not necessarily know that he stopped. So he gets a rupture out of the wall, just want to fly. He's trying to walk it off, but then there's General, of course, to make sure that turns into a kill. It's just so effective, right? You have this good laning stage, you rotate out to get this almost guaranteed kill. Especially if you have someone with you that can cancel TPs, because that's like the only real counter to the rupture at this point.
And like you pointed out, Earthshaker immediately goes to the mid lane, gets some experience and farm by himself as well. Like Navi is making good rotations here. I will say that Kuman is also responding correctly, immediately rotating to the mid lane, knowing that Bloodseeker is not here anymore, and just getting his farm and experience back as well. So he is level 6 again, which earlier he was like what, level 4.5?
Yep. You're on level 6s though. Clockwork just got his, so look for these hook-shots across the map to try and create even more chaos. So yeah, everything's kind of lining up for Navi. Yeah. Cheshire Cat, Bither, but he gets shackled up. Bignum inside the sandstorm. He's level 2, so doing a decent amount of damage here, but it's just not enough. Pycat bringing down Cheshire Cat, now gets Nightmare up.
You know what? You know what saved him? The Howl Knight HP bonus. That's 100 HP that if he hadn't had those 100 HP, he would have died.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something that we haven't really talked about, or Lycan in general, who's getting complete free farm here. So, when do you expect him to really pull his weight in terms of bringing down these 3-1 towers with the rest of his team?
That's the good thing, though, about the Lycan, the way he's played these days. He doesn't necessarily need to do this. Like, he's not reliant on taking these early towers to really, like you say, pull his weight. I think he can just wait until he has his armlet before he really goes for any objective. But again, the beauty of this Lycan these days is that you're not really on a timer as much as like a Draw Ranger would be, for example. I think he can definitely still scale very well into the late game. So I wouldn't necessarily expect to see the Lycan commit to anything anytime soon, before the armlet anyway. They might once the Shadow Shaman hits level 6, but then it's really just about the Shadow Shaman more so than a Lycan.
Yeah. 5 is very close. Of course, at this point, Pycat, he can rotate into the jungle, give Beaver some space alone. This safe lane, which might just be what they intend to do now. To get the level 6, to try and get the momentum going in the objective terms. Okay.
Gonna go for the solo kill.
Got the hookshot off, but didn't quite have the power cogs to work with, so Bignum will just walk out. Even with that, even if you land the cogs, I think Sand King is a very hard kill, just because you can still always burst strike out of the cogs.
Oh, for sure. He would have had to initiate with the cogs, like trap him, force out the burst strike, and then hookshot afterwards. But he had to initiate with the hookshot because he already used the cogs earlier. But it's still sort of just about asserting dominance and making sure that Sand King has to get out of lane and just gives this clockwork free farm pretty much. If you look at the map, Gambit Esports, the two cores, the Draw Ranger and the TA, are falling back into the jungle because they just don't feel safe in their own lane anymore. And they sort of, they sort of want to do the same thing that Na'Vi did earlier, just give the supports a bit of experience and farm in the lane. But ultimately, they get bullied out of the lane. So the best they can really do is just soak up some XP.
Yep. Well, yeah, as you said, both Koom and Darkseid both trying their best to keep up. They are sitting about 3k gold. If you compare that to the other cores, yeah, speaking of mid lane, Dandy finds the Raptor once again and always want to fly. This time though with a TP out, cancelled by the Fissure. The Nako coming through with the TP rotation. And yeah, that'll turn into the first tower because, well, we're already here. Might as well put some damage in with Pyket's ultimate. Just timing out though, so don't have that extra damage potential. Much as that just go for now. But yeah, they're getting this net worth, right? Bloodseeker, pretty much free farm, kills here and there.
By the way.
Oh god. Please no. Darkseid runs right into him here. There's level 1 silence available, but Bloodride also comes through. Then he doesn't want to commit to hook shot. Where was that one? I don't know. Might have missed. Sanking up top, and Cheshire Cat making a rotation. Keeping him in with the coil, but the TP also successful. Meanwhile, mid, Pycat still sitting around, unable to really get close to him.
Once again, how ironic that it is the Bloodseeker that TP's out, and they don't have anything to cancel it. Overall, not Dendi, but Na'Vi overall just making all the right moves on the map. They're not really wasting too much. I guess you could argue that they're wasting a little bit of resources bottom lane right now for the past, 2 or 3 minutes. But overall, they're just making good rotations, finding all these kills, not giving away any unnecessary kills right now. For example, Dendi moving up top, realizing that he was never going to get the kill onto the Draw Ranger, moving out and TPing out as well. So, I don't know. Na'Vi just seem very composed. They realize that they're not really on a time or anything. And they're just forcing Gambit to make mistakes, or rather, forcing Gambit to.
They're gonna get themselves a free kill. Poor Bane just runs right into Beaver general combo. There's no surviving that one. Cheshire Cat's still sticking around in the same lane. He's more survivable, of course, thanks to the orb. You can always John too, but is this too much pressure here? Is Nabi just choking out Gambit too much?
Yep, definitely are. Again, it just comes down to the fact that they were so dominant in all 3 lanes. The Bloodseeker overruling the TA is sort of okay and understandable, but once again, this is just, why didn't they commit like a support to this? They committed a support to the safe lane, which they already lost anyway, or they sort of lost anyway because they couldn't really zone out general, and then instead Bane just gave away a bunch of kills, and then they even lost a Draw Ranger.
Almost saw a repeat of what just happened a moment ago. Would have been said.
Oh, he's etching. General, he's like etching. He has his hookshot ready. And it's nighttime, so they would have the extra HP as well.
Well, not pulling the trigger just yet. Kuman continuing to farm here on his TA, and there's a Blink Dagger as well as a Desolator queued up, so both of these core items are still sort of on the way, and I can definitely see a world where Na'Vi just kind of fizzle out, don't really get too many towers, and just leave Gambit to farm. That's something that they can do as long as you have the Draw Ranger in kind of a safe space and always fall back on this extra aura, this extra damage to make this just that bit more efficient.
Yeah, I think for Gambit, the sort of like comeback potential is definitely still there, which is sort of awkward to think about considering they're like a team that, sort of needs to press.
Bottom lane initiating here with the coil. Cheshire Cat to follow. Bignum is there with a burst strike as well. They're looking for Soneko. They will right click him down, but Pycat coming through. The wall trap on Cheshire Cat, so that'll be that. 1-for-1 trade. And looking for more here. They're still finding Sanking, who's sitting there in Sandstorm, unable to really extricate himself. Got a few spells on him. So 2-for-1 trade. Makes it not really worth it. Dandy now on the killing spree. They will be able to convert this into a tower. No problems whatsoever.
See, on the upside, they buy a bit of time for crewman. Draw Ranger immediately realized that this was a losing battle and immediately TP's top, so it's a bit of space for her as well. But yeah, obviously it's not a favorable trade. They're going to lose a tier 1 bottom as well. And again, now he's just making all the right rotations, all the right moves, and responding correctly to everything, really. I will say it was also just like a very desperate attempt trying to get a kill here on the Earthshaker, who's fairly tanky. They don't really have great initiation. They had to walk up there and coil. I don't know.
General just waiting until Treasure Cat comes around to take the boundary rune, but now Bignum was also here. He is quite tanky, but is he tanky enough? So that's a hookshot to maybe use defensively here, but caught inside the coil. This is such an interesting point, but yeah, he has to snap it as his cogs expire, and this one the only ones keeping him alive, and he knows it too. Sad trombone.
This is definitely a case of overconfidence.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which I can't blame him for, because, you know, if you have a game like this, you feel like you can accomplish anything. Speaking of which, Draw Ranger.
Exactly.
She's just gonna make it out, isn't
Trouble is
Oh, they see her, but they can't really go her. They need a blink on the Earthshaker or the Shadow Shaman. Both are fairly close.
Yeah.
1.8k on the Earthshaker, 1.4 on the Shadow Shaman. Both might just get the blink dagger in the next 2 minutes, and then it is very worrisome for this Draw Ranger because they have perfect initiation for her.
Yeah, all three tier 1 towers have been taken out, so that's a big part of the reason why they have this much gold to work with now. Just going straight into Roshan, they realize the Gambit, well, they have no blinks of their own. They really don't want to fight into us right now, so we can just take this one down, get some extra gold that way, and then come out swinging with blinks and ages. I mean, time is running out for Gambit right now. The smoking up is 5, but we're too late. Maybe they can catch someone here. Just pull it up.
By the way, your in-game audio might be muted, but
It
about
says
that
I'm
later.
transmitting, so not too much else I can do about that, but I'll see in a moment as the fight breaks out here. They have the Lycan controlled up with the Fiend Scrub, but he's not taking too much damage. Kuman's sitting in the middle of that. They trigger the Aegis. Kuman's still alive for way too long here, in my opinion, but hey, he does get taken out. Bites back into this here. They want to turn us around. Shishigat dies, so does Bignum. 5 on the dominating speed of all things, but Kuman making a trade out of it. Fighting against the Shadow Shaman.
All
Can
by
transfer it
himself.
into more. General walking out here. One more right click's not going to be in range for it. And Pycat just swiping down the TA. Big commitment there from Gambit to try and turn this around in their favor, but ultimately they give up just so much more. They lose the fight handily, only get the Shadow Shaman plus the Aegis, but now they're going to lose the tier 2. They will lose the Earthshaker, I guess, so Gambit get that under the belt. That with the low respawn timers and the glyph, I actually hold on to the tier 2, so stop the bleeding in this particular fight, but Navi is still on the upper hand, you could say.
They still bled out sufficiently with that buyback on the TA. You know, if you thought she was ever gonna get close to the Desolator, she's not now.
Yep.
I think if you're Kuman, he probably thought to himself, all right, we just got the Aegis and they're all so low. If I just get in there, I can probably burst them down. And quite frankly, if he had, you know, if his team had been still around and could have bought him like a second or two more, maybe he could have even killed the hero more. So I can understand his reasoning, but ultimately his team was in no fighting shape at that point anymore.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, like you pointed out, I think they just got the most out of that fight already with how long Kuma was staying alive, the fact that they got the Aegis. I think they took that fight quite well, but him buying back cost his team so much.
Yeah. I think he just got a Blink Dagger himself. I'm not sure about the exact timing, so maybe...
He got
I
that
don't
before the fight, I think.
Yeah.
Either way, Gambit, I think this just goes to show that they still have that potential in those team fights. And granted, this was a team fight without any Blink Daggers on the Sand King or the Puck. If they had Blink Daggers on these two heroes, their team fight would be much more potent as well.
Speaking of Blink Daggers, Soneko looking for an initiation here onto Kuman. Smoked out together with some of his teammates. But Kuman managing to dodge that. The rest of his team down bottom just trying to find some farm, trying to put on some pressure. But at the same time, top lane, Pycat's just doing his thing.
So I've not been really criticizing Navi too much because I think they've played like a really good game so far. But I think the lack of control over the Ancient camp is worrisome. This is a TA, and Dendi is like an excellent TA player. They should damn well know that TA is gonna fall back and farm the Ancients.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure she's farmed like 3 big like stacked Ancient camps already, and they've never had really any control. They placed one ward in the Ancient camp to prevent it from getting stacked again, but just one ward is not enough commitment, in my opinion. You have like excellent heroes to catch somebody out of position. You have the Clockwork, you have the Earthshaker, you have the Shadow Shaman. If you have just one ward next to the Ancient Camp and keep vision over it, I'm pretty sure you can either kill the TA or whoever's stacking that.
Yep. Well, let's hope for Navi's sake that it doesn't end up biting them in the ass, because as a result, Temple Assassin is getting actually closer to the Desolator. And that's the point where you can actually realize the TA can still burst people down, especially with the Jar on the field. So, definitely gotta look out for that. But now though, Navi is still feeling very high and dry in terms of their net worth and their map controls as well. Gambit mostly just dodging them, trying to put on some pressure on tier 1s of their own. But
Gambit has
losing
yet
tier
to take
2s
a
for it.
tower.
Yeah, I mean, they're
This
not
is
even
a Jar Ranger
accomplishing
lineup.
that.
And Jar Ranger did go for the first item 4-step, by the way.
You
He
have to
definitely
against
felt-
Clockwork.
Yeah, you
That's-
definitely have to at this point.
That's
They
no
were
other
so
way
far
around this.
behind, and this Clockwork is wrecking them absolutely. With a Solar Crest as well. General. Good item choice, honestly.
Can he find somebody here? Treasure Cat, not the easiest one to bring down at the best of times, even for Clockwork. So far so good. Gambit, after the last fight, they're dodging very well. And is kind of scraping together farm regardless. Because Navi, they're kind of moving as a 5-man unit. Not too far away from the rest of their team. And oh god, Shadow Shaman Blink showed off. He finds Coom, and that's a big kill. They can get it with the follow-up. General's there, but his hookshot is being blocked. There it is. Biver moves out of the way. Follow up with the cogs, pushing it back. The Fisher kind of keeping Biver away, but he doesn't really care too much. They have the sentry already in place. The Kuman does get right-click down. Always want to fly. Gets body blocked by Soneko, just making it look so easy. Tower goes down in the meantime, so now, do they go high ground here?
They could. If they had paid attention to the Bignum Sand King, they would know that he doesn't even have TP with him, which, by the way, is a huge mistake.
Yeah, he
But
can pick
he
one up on the
wants to
side
farm
job
his-
right now, but
yeah.
yeah, it's
Not if he wants to go for
both
his
of them.
blink. Alright, he sold stuff. Alright.
So he'll be there. They don't know about the blink, so maybe that's the big opportunity for Gambit to turn this into a team fight. But without the TA, they kind of like the damage, don't they? Pika, he's super tanky, he's so standy. Big now reveals his blink dagger with that initiation, but now Miva comes in with the control. For Nightmare, nice Nightmare save there from Bane. Always want to fly, but now he has to deal with a Dendi who shows off his BKB. Beanska was already used, so can't really keeping him to right click him down. So Neko dropping low, almost touches the Sandstorm, so they should be able to finish off that kill eventually. Meanwhile, Cheshire Cat going for General and Dendy in the back, but they just snap the coil and walk it off. Even Soneko's still alive, so I'll be able to walk it out until Bignum finds a good kill onto Dendy. Follow up there from Cheshire Cat and Kuman coming back into the fray. They find a lone General on the back of that too. Now looks like they've overextended themselves a little bit. Doksha comes through, but control from the Bane. Make sure that there's no play potential for General this time around. Cheshire Cat with a double kill. Gambit, they lost the tier 3, they lost a full set of racks, but was it worth it?
I think you're sort of fine with this, because you were going to lose them anyway against a Shadow Shaman like this, and I think they desperately needed the experience from these kills. And of course, obviously, you want to keep the Rex, but you might just get a tier 1 out of this as well, so that's like a lot of gold and experience going your way. And wow, Navi definitely overextending. Dendi diving tier 4 towers, like he was tanking 2 tier 4 towers and 4 heroes.
Yeah, he still just
That
walks
is-
out.
I think Navi just pretty much did what Vega needed to do in order for Comanche to get back into the last game. Like they completely overextended, gave away a lot of crucial kills. I guess the only saving grace is that Pyket got out like the way he did. But I think if you're a Navi, you still feel very comfortable. You still have the Redding aspect. You have the Shadow Shaman and the Desolator and the Lycan. So even though you gave away all these kills, you're so far ahead, 13k net worth, and worst comes to worst, you can always Red Dota the shit out of this game. So
Yeah. Especially with mid-racks down. I mean, it's not the best
Yeah.
racks, like when it comes to Red Dota, you'd rather have a side lane so that you then can push in the other side lane, and you have the maximum amount of distance here between both of them, so Gambit has to walk longer. So in that sense, the mid lane is not the best one to take. On the other side, it's the hardest one to take because you technically have 3 shrines in range of that for the defending team to fall back on. But yeah, the most important part is also that the shrines are opened up. So next Roshan will respawn in 20 seconds actually, so that's something for Navi to look forward to right the hell now.
Yeah, though the mid Rex is also the one that provides the Dire with most map control because it's the sort of control, like it's like an access point
Oh,
sort
they
of.
canceled the TP on Kuman.
Do they know that?
Did
though?
they realize? Yeah, they don't think they do. They have detection. No,
No,
none of them have.
I think they suspected.
Yeah.
I think they suspected.
None of them have any detection, so they
That
just
hook
just spend their spells. They
So
don't even
close. So
care.
close. Alright, they're giving up.
I guarantee you,
Lycan-
Kuman is sweating the seat right now. But yeah, the fight goes on. Mass TPs come through. They lose Lycan already here with this kind of bunch from Gambit. Biber looking for the follow-up control. Does have the shackles. Can he get it off here? Bignum running interference. Nightmare on the Bloodseeker taken off. So then he can start right-clicking away. Bignum will not walk out of this one. Taking it a 1-for-1 trade, but still good for Gambit. Brought down Pika. That's a big kill. 850 gold for Bignum. He gives some of that away, of course, but still.
Yep.
You need
Gambit
these kind of things, right? Any sort of even trade on paper is favoring Gambit right now.
And it's not even trade, right? It's like you're trading a support for a carry, so it's like a
Yeah.
favorable trade even. And look at the experience; it's even. The experience is even. This is off of the back of like a huge net worth advantage, and Dendi even has like a Midas. But because of these valuable kills or these favorable kills, they just equalize the experience. And for a lineup like Gambit, that is very important. These heroes, they scale well with experience.
Yep.
Puck, for example, definitely wants that level 25 as soon as possible.
The only one who doesn't really have all that much experience is the Spain. He isn't even quite level 10 yet, but like his big utility spells, this basically comes down to Nightmare right now to just try and take someone out of the fight, and the Fiend Scoop as well. That doesn't scale in duration, only in damage. So he has what he minimally needs. He doesn't necessarily need these levels as much as the others. But now the smoked up, looking for this Roshan, but once again, just like last time, I feel like they're a little bit too late. It dies already. And yeah, they immediately called the retreat.
Oh, Puck!
Oh,
no!
it gets hexed up! 4-star from his teammates. Should still be fine, maybe. Biber, yeah, he can't quite get in range
Yeah, he's
for the
gonna be
shackles.
safe now.
That was scary for a moment.
It was super scary. It's the power of Ether Lens. That hex range was insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, overall, just Navi, good on them for getting this objective. With the Aegis and Cheese, they're going to go for Nugget High Ground Siege, and it's going to be really difficult for Gambit to defend this. They do have, obviously, a lot of ways to initiate with a Blink on both Sand King and the Puck. But Navi also can, they can slowly siege this, or can just drop the wards, and then...
Yep.
With the Aegis, they could just commit the Lycan and just bait out all these spells.
Well, we'll see how this works out. Definitely it's gonna be a hard task for Gambit to try and fight up against this. Especially since Navi is smoked up in the backlines, so it's very hard for Gambit to even make the wraparound play and try and take out these supports. Now, double burst strike in the front, Kuman. Good angle here, they actually bring down Dendi immediately. Now Kuman finds Biver as he blinks in to try and turn this around. Great start so far, now they need to find more, and they do. So Neko drops, Pycat caught with another burst strike, and well, that'll be the agent. He will also die a second time.
Didn't even need to commit the epicenter. Navi just in an awful position, and I will say also a bit unlucky for them, because I believe Biver just blinked into his silence from the puck.
Yeah, he
overall,
kind of blinked in. I think he got a hex off. I'm not sure. But then he just died to 2 right clicks from Kuman.
yeah.
So he's blinking right on top of the TA without controlling her is kind of a death sentence for a hero like a Shadow Shaman.
I think they just didn't expect Dendi to die this quickly.
Yeah.
Dendi just melted, really, quite literally, against the TA, and I think they expected him to be more tanky, to be able to use the cheese, and if he had gotten the cheese off, they could have been able to turn around the fight with the Earthshaker as well. But overall, just good positioning from Gambit and good spell usage as well, and suddenly, if you look at the net worth, it's only a 6k net worth advantage.
Yeah, it was
If
twice
you're
that
Navi
just
now-
like 10 minutes ago. And
Yeah.
even look at Gambit. They have the Temple Assassin, Kuman, who had a kind of bad lane up against the Bloodseeker. He's up at the top of the net worth chart. He's level 22, highest level in the game by a country a mile.
It's quite funny how you sugarcoat it by saying kind of a bad lane. He had a horrendous lane against the Bloodseeker, right?
We gotta soften the blow when you talk about it like that.
Right. But when you have to fall back into the jungle and you're like a level behind, you know, shit hits
Yeah.
the fan. But yeah, he's done a really good job. Even though, and he even had that awful buyback where he basically only got like a Shadow Shaman, and like that was definitely not a worthwhile buyback. But again, I think this comes down to Na'Vi not having any control over the ancient camps. He can just farm ancients, and Na'Vi is not doing anything about it, even though they have like 3-4 heroes that can catch anybody off guard. And it's not even like the TA has been protected while farming. She's literally just been farming, and Na'Vi just doesn't really give a shit.
Alright, so where do we go now? Na'Vi, of course, is still technically ahead. They even have a set of Rex down, so it's not the worst for them. But how does this look going further into the late game? Are they fizzling out, or do their heroes have the ability to scale compared to Gambit?
They definitely still have the ability to scale. The Earthshaker especially is one of those heroes that can always scale until the late game, depending on what items he goes for. Though, as I say that, he's preparing for Crimson Guard, which is also a good item to have against TA and Draw Ranger, don't get me wrong. But usually on an Earthshaker like this, you kind of want to go for other items, you know, like a Shadow Blade, and be a nuisance, and be just a general killing machine even. But instead he goes for a more utility build, which I can't really fault him for, because they sort of need it as well. But oh well. But yeah, they can still scale very well. Again, they have the Red Dota aspect with the Lycan and the Shadow Shaman. Shadow Shaman can always, you know, once he gets enough farm, go for like a refresher, for example, and just drop two sets of wards and be done with it. Oh,
General, he finds the initiation follow-up from the fissure. He can maybe to come over, but there's some wolves. There's also the rocket flare. So ultimately, he lost too many health points. Great catch there from General.
This is not good. They might just be able to even... Nah, they won't be able to force it to buyback. But still, they can take another objective, the Shrine here. They can force maybe something for this bottom lane. I'm not sure they should, actually. They should probably wait for another Aegis. They still have the cheese, which is nice. But if you have like an Aegis and 2 cheeses, you're in a good position.
Yep. Well, definitely heating up to be...
so
much of a stop as might have. Oh, what the hell is he doing there? Just
Just
trying to be sneaky. 4 stuffs down. You're down to half health, but now the Rex are the wards are down, so the rats are happening. Space created, you could say, perhaps. If they can get these towers, always for a fly, almost gets 2-shot by Pycat, but now he's in the middle of trouble, controlled by Bignum. He will eat the cheese, get it off just in time, and now the fight looks totally different. Kuman with his own BKB. Able to stay alive, but I believe, yeah, he's ruptured, so he's not he's very limited in terms of the aggressive movements he can do. But now Sneko, well, looks like they might be able to bring him down. Don't have a sentry to counter out that Glimmer Cape.
You know, it's actually biting them in the ass that Cheshire Cat got caught off.
That is Cheshire Cat, that is. He does get hacks before he can jump out, so he just gets killed. The coil, not really doing anything else with it. Always on a fly. Throws out Nightmares, trying to do what he can, but now Kuman, it's all going to be down to him, as well as Jar Ranger to do things. Cheshire Cat with a buyback, got 1 kill, they need more though. They need more than this, but without a call, they're going to have a hard time just keeping people in. There it is, Dandy, maybe dropping low, the Nightmare comes in just in time from Wanna Fly. General tried to run interference here, keeping Kuman away. Now Pycat turning this around here with the control from Beaver. They bring down Daxag with 1 more swipe. Come on, someone right click it. There we go. Pycat finishing him off. So that's a huge amount of damage taken away from Gambit. So now it's Na'Vi once again on clean up duty instead. It's such a back and forth fight. Yeah, they see him with a rocket flare, but they decide not to go for it yet. They want to finish up the racks. Want to finish what they came for. They've already got the range. Melee's still alive, but the wolves should be enough to finish that one off. Ultimately, you win for Na'Vi.
Draw Ranger though.
They might be able to get a kill
here. Yeah,
but
they need to get a kill here.
I don't think Na'Vi even cares at this point.
No, they don't.
The Solar Crest.
He's just teasing them.
Yeah.
Well, this is the strength of Navi's lineup. Even though Gambit made a valiant effort at coming back into this game, and you know they're still not out of it, obviously, but Na'Vi, just the fact that they did take an early racks, they just plays into their favor, really. They have the power of the Lycan and the Shadow Shaman, and you could see how quickly they took down those towers as well.
Yeah.
With the AC, with the Desolator, this Lycan is always going to take down towers in a matter of seconds, and it's going to be difficult for Gambit to really win this game still, because they need to take down Navi in those team fights, which is already really difficult. But they wouldn't they probably need to win multiple team fights as well, because Navi obviously does have the advantage of, being ahead in terms of network. Then they will likely always have buybacks, and even if they don't, they still have 2 tier 2s up, and they even have a tier 1 mid.
I mean, Gambit needs to find the perfect team fight every single time, and Dota's a game where you just cannot really guarantee that, especially with these. I mean, if you look at the crowd control, they have a Sanking, which, I mean, all credit to Bignum. He's always been able to find the best possible burrow strikes, I'm pretty sure, but there's only. Navi isn't really forced to position themselves in a way where he can find more than 2. Then if it's on the 2 tanky heroes, well, Gambit's gonna have a hard time actually converting that into something. Right? Pycat, he's sitting at almost 3k health points if he has strength rates going. And yeah, even Bloodseeker is down up to 2.6k health now. It's hard to bring down these heroes. Outside,
smoke.
God, Echo Slam to initiate with, yeah. Where's the follow-up? General with the cogs, just pushing them around. The Hex onto the Bane. He will die to Dandy here, but Kuman pops a BKB. The core, the epicenter here. They bring him down. 1-1 trade so far. Bignum with the 4-star will keep him alive. Kuman also. Well, they have to try and fight against Pycat, but, well, good shackles from low ground, keeping Daxak down. This might just be it, because he doesn't have buyback. Follow burst strike from Bignum here, trying to do what he can, but it's just too much damage coming through from Pycat. Whenever he gets his claws to somebody, they just straight up die unless they dodge themselves out of it. The Rax, same kind of story with the wards being down, a couple of swipes here and there from Pycat. They finally decide to get himself out of there. Kuman coming in with a vengeance, but there's only so much he can do, especially without a draw aura. Just doesn't have the punch and the defensive utility at the same time to stay inside these fights. General misses the hook shots, but the damage has been done. They've got Mega Creeps. And if Gambit has... with all the merits from Gambit's draft, they have no way to fight up against Mega Creeps.
Agreed. And like you said, they just didn't have the damage right now in that team fight without the draw aura. TA was doing everything she could, really, and I gotta applaud Kuman. He's played that really well. The fact that he didn't even die in that engagement is also pretty worthy of an applause. But ultimately, without the draw range aura, Kuman's just tickling Pycat. Pycat with Armlet, with Assault Cuirass, he is so damn tanky. Look at his HP, 3,400 HP, and then, what, 30 armor? You're not gonna kill them. Yeah. You're certainly not gonna kill them twice. And Gambit against Mega Creeps, like you said, I just don't think they have the tools to really come back into this game. They barely managed to sort of scrape that team fight even in terms of, trades. I'm not even sure that was even, really. I guess they got the Dendy early on. They also got the Clockwork, but they were also forced to buy back on the Sand King. So, I don't know. Gambit, yeah, I just don't see it right now. Maybe with a Rapier on the TA, just go for like some, just go hope for some big melt hits.
He's going for MKB. He has it in 100 goals, so you might just sit at base and wait for that to come out. I mean, that's the kind of thing that you need against all this evasion coming out, but I don't see it being enough.
There's a Heaven's Halberd and the Clockwork, which just direct both him and the draw, or with the TA and the Draw Ranger.
Yeah.
They both got destroyed by this Heaven's Halberd, and this is just Navi itemizing and playing correctly. That Crimson Guard, by the way, which I sort of criticized Soneko for, I say, paid off. That just made them almost impossible to die.
It is the Hex, Echo Slam, Hookshot, everything being dropped, and they will instantly annihilate Cheshire. They also get the control off from Temple Assassin, force even further across the line. Pops the BKB in the end, but those of you right, like still alive, but eventually, well, Pycat decides to spend a few seconds, or half a second, on finishing up the TA, and that'll be it. GG, well played indeed. Navi getting themselves off to a bit of a better start. 2-1 scoreline for them now.
Yeah, and Gambit, they fall to a, I believe, 1-2 scoreline, which isn't the end of the world by any means. But if you wanna reach top 4, I think you need to approach it a little bit differently. I don't even think the draft was necessarily that bad. I do think the TA was a little bit greedy. I definitely think they needed something else in that mid lane position, or if they or maybe they could have even put the puck mid lane and they had something else in the off lane. It just felt like, they were always playing from behind. Obviously, applause to Kuman. I think he played it very well. Like we pointed out, he fell behind so much in the laning
Yeah.
stage. He even bought back unnecessarily, but he still was the top of the net worth at some point. Overall, though, Navi just played it very well. I think they just won all 3 lanes, which they
Yeah.
shouldn't have. That's just the story, really. Gambit just gave them 3 lanes.
Yeah, and the thing is, I think at least the mid lane is kind of the given with how good Bloodseeker is these days. So and that was the issue here as well, I think, or part of the issue, because Kuman, sure, he was able to bounce back extremely well, but Templar Assassin is a hero that only really functions particularly well if you don't need to do that. If that gold that you get in the jungle isn't served to catch you up, but instead to push you ahead a couple of thousand gold ahead of everyone else. So you have that extra item, that Blink Dagger Desolator, much earlier in the game, and then snowball on the back of that. I think that was what Gambit Esports needed to needed to accomplish, and they just couldn't, based on how the laning stage went. Like general also being completely crazy on the clockwork. Just wasn't to
It's
be.
just one of those things where I feel like Gambit, when you're in a situation like this, and this is also sort of similar with how, what was it? Effect was it? No, who played against Vega? Comanche. It's sort of similar scenario where you lose all 3 lanes, but why don't you try to desperately win 1 lane? Like, why don't you commit your resources to definitely win 1 lane instead of definitely losing all 3 lanes? I think they could have either committed both supports, the Sand King and the Bane, to the safe lane, or commit either of those heroes to the mid lane to make sure that TA still gets a bit of farm. But what they did was they have this sort of like dual lane, the dual lane, the Bane Draw Ranger and then the Sand King Puck. But neither of those lanes necessarily succeeded. The Draw Ranger still obviously got her last hits, but the fact that the Clockwork killed the Bane twice and then they even killed the Draw Ranger just goes to show that they definitely lost that lane and they should have definitely committed either, again, more to the Draw Ranger or more to the TA. But giving up basically all 3 lanes is always sort of like a losing position. So I don't know. I think this is something going forward they need to address. But overall, I think Gambit Esports still showed that why they're in this regional qualifier, right? I think they in the mid game they showed that they're still a force to be reckoned with. They just need to iron some small things out.
All right, and with that, guys, do stick around because that was not the last we've seen of Na'Vi today. We're gonna go right ahead with Na'Vi vs Empire coming up next, and after that, our last game of the day will be Angie versus Spirit. So do stick around. In the meantime, you can follow us on Twitter at DragonDropDota and at Skim Gaming. But for now, we're gonna take a short break until the lobby's ready to start.
What does a hero truly mean?